Hey there, it's Charles, and these will be CAS Reflections for the week of May 3rd to the 9th. And the big thing that happened this week was the Fly Conference. So here's another thing that we worked 5 months for, or more. I think planning started last year. And it finally came to an end. And the funny thing is, I got food poisoning that day, so I couldn't go. But I did help them set up the day before, and I do have reflections for it. Now, for the conference, it was a bunch of university students or just graduates, and we were a bunch of students that followed them, high school students that helped them with their curriculum and trying to help them with planning, decorating, finding out what's interesting for high school students, because the conference is for high school students. And I felt that this was a good combination because we have the expertise and we have the kind of the naive ones and the ones that help them link these adults to what they're trying to target. So an interesting observation was that you have a bunch of high school students that are basically pretty immature. I mean, we've got to admit, at the meetings, we're the ones that keep on talking to each other, like chatting when there's something serious going on. The ones that when decorating, we want like glittery stuff, and we spend a lot of time thinking about cool ideas rather than practical ideas. And you've got the adults, which are just graduates, so they're kind of on the borderline on being immature and want to go crazy with you guys, but they have, of course, they have a lot of responsibility, being the chairmen of this conference, and they have this kind of mature side to them where they can just jump out and be leaders. So that was a very interesting connection there. That worked very well, actually, because they were mature adults, but they were young enough for us to be able to play off them a little, kind of have some fun ideas for the conference, and they listened to us because I think they understand people like us, and they were mature enough, and we were mature enough, I mean, that they were able to bring our skills out and be able to communicate with us. So I really like that kind of connection, that kind of, we both have common areas, and at the same time we have differences that we like to share with each other. And something else I found interesting, another reflection, is that these university students, they paid a lot of attention to very fine details. And by that I mean, while we were decorating, they would often say, can you cut the border a bit nicer, or trim a little bit, or I like that kind of green because it's a little bit deeper or darker in color, so it's more visible to people. And it baffled me a little because I thought that these were super practical people that wouldn't really care about these fine details and just get right to it, because they work for accounting companies. So that's my reasoning of why I thought they should be very practical, and they were practical, but the reason they paid fine details to this didn't really come true to me until seeing them on the actual site, like the posters and all the decorative stuff, because afterwards, when the students gave us comments, they said that the conference overall was very organized and very polished up, and that shines through the nice trimming on the posters and the the cool fonts on the programs. So I think that's something I learned from these university students, is that you have to be practical, but to have people to be able to look at your conference and say, wow, you really have to polish it up by paying attention to fine details. My third reflection is that being sick really sucks. Because I didn't work very hard for the conference. It was mostly just 2 hours a week or something. But I spent a lot of thinking into it, and I really look forward to seeing it turn out because so much time was going into preparing it. Not by me, but mostly by the adults. But then, you feel kind of good in that you know it's going to turn out good, and you don't really have to be there to see if it turns out good. It wasn't a gamble. It wasn't like you work hard and either this falls flat or this is really good. You can see everything that's planned out. That it's not going to be horrible. It's going to be well planned. Everything's going to go smoothly because there has been a lot of you make a lot of fallbacks. If something doesn't work, you do something else. That's something I learned too. But yeah, I was a little disappointed. But then I think the worst thing about that is I'm not able to do PMI on the conference. And I usually like doing PMI. I'm a big fan of doing reflections after what happened and learning from your mistakes and learning also from what you did right. So that's my reflections for this week, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.